Did you know you could cook these 5 things in your slow cooker? I'm about to show you how. Hey there, I'm Stacy. Welcome to my kitchen. This week I have 5 unexpected ways you can use your slow cooker. What do you say? Let's get to it. Did you know that you could cook ribs in the crock pot? You can. And yes, that is a telephone jack. My house is that old. Here's the recipe. Here's what we need to put our ribs together. I've got just about a half of an onion and I just quartered them. We're just gonna make a base of onions at the bottom. And then I have a quarter of a cup of water. That's just so we can get a good steam on. Now, I'm gonna coat these with some sort of barbecue seasoning rub. This is my homemade barbecue seasoning rub. I'll be sure to link it in the description below, but any store-bought barbecue seasoning that you like will work. I'm gonna coat all of these, and then I'm gonna cook it on high for 3.5 hours. Then I'm gonna come in with a barbecue sauce and cover them with that barbecue sauce and cook it for an additional 30 minutes. After that, it's gonna give you a nice steamed rib. If you like a crunchy rib, what you can do is you can either put it in the oven at 375 for just a little bit until this caramelizes, or you can drop it in the air fryer for about 8 minutes. But as far as crock pot goes, this is gonna cook on high for 4 hours. If you're cooking it on low, 8 hours. Let's coat these ribs. Into the crock pot they go. Alright, now that we have everything in here, this was a half of a rack of ribs and it fits perfectly in our 2-quart crock pot. So if you're cooking this on low, just as a reminder, low for 8 hours, high for 4 hours. We're cooking it on high for 4 hours today. We have 30 minutes left on our cook time. So I'm just gonna come in with our sauce, pour that right on top, and then just use my brush to spread it all around. In 30 more minutes, we'll be ready. 30 minutes later, these saucy ribs. Now you can eat them just like this. They are delicious. But I have my air fryer here. You probably see it. I have my air fryer here because I'm gonna throw them in to the air fryer and just let them cook just a few minutes in the air fryer so that we can kind of caramelize those that barbecue sauce that's on there. But I mean, you can see it's pulled away from the bone. They're juicy and tender, yummy. And the crock pot did all the work. I'm gonna start these at 375 for about 5 minutes in the air fryer, and then we may need to go about 3 more minutes. Alrighty, we're done. So let's pull these out. Let me push this back a little bit. There we go. Pull these out and you can see how crispy they got. Now this is after 5 minutes. You could go as long as 8 if you wanted to, but I think those are great. I left 2 in the crock pot. So I do want to show you the comparison. If you didn't want to finish them in the air fryer or the oven, you could just have them in the crock pot. Now remember, this was a half of a rack of ribs. And y'all, I got these on clearance for $3.28 or something like that for a half a rack of ribs. No more going and spending $20 for ribs. I mean, these smell amazing. There you go. So now you can tell these have just a little bit more color than these. This is just Crockpot. This is finished in the air fryer. But they're pulling away from the bone and they're gonna be so good. Try this, friend. You will love them. Did you know you can get a baked potato out of your Crockpot? Here's how you do it. Super simple. All we have to do, take our potato, coat it in a little bit of olive oil, sprinkle a little bit of salt right on top, and rub it around so it's nicely coated. Wrap it up and stick it in our Crockpot. You can cook this on low for 7.5 to 8 hours or high for 4.5 to 5 hours. I'm cooking it on high today, so I'll see you in 4.5 hours. Our potatoes are done. This may be my favorite way to bake a potato. Now I have to know, oh, that's hot. I have to know, are you one that eats the skin on your potato? It becomes so yummy and flavorful when you cook it this way. I'm not usually a eat the skin kind of person, but when I cook it this way, it just adds such a great flavor. And now all you have to do is just dress it with whatever your favorite toppings are. I have a little butter here. Just put that right down, and it will take no time for this butter to melt because these potatoes, as you can probably see, are steaming hot. I could just have this for my meal. I love a baked potato. Now we're just going to add some cheddar cheese right down on top. You could add bacon, you could add broccoli. You could even put chili on top. There we go. And then just finish with a little sour cream. So yummy. It's my favorite. I don't know how to juggle, but I do know how to make caramelized onions in the crock pot. Here's how you do it. Caramelized onions are so tasty, and this recipe works for a stovetop caramelized onion or a crock pot. The downside to the stovetop version is that it takes a long time and you have to sit there and babysit it, where this is literally a throw it and go, and I love that. Now, we're using 3 onions because I'm going to cook this in my 2-quart crock pot. A lot of this is going to be based on how many onions you have. For example, for every onion you have, you're going to need a tablespoon of butter. Since I'm doing 3 onions, I will have 3 tablespoons of butter. Now, because I'm using a white onion and not a Vidalia onion, not a sweet onion, I am going to have to add a little bit of sweetness. And I'm going to do that with a tablespoon of brown sugar. So again, a tablespoon for 3 onions. Also, I love the flavor of balsamic vinegar when it reduces in these caramelized onions. So I also have a tablespoon of balsamic, and then I have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, because if we have sweet, we have to have salt to balance it out. I'm going to go ahead and slice all of these onions up, and we'll get ready to put this in the crock pot. I have all of my onions sliced, and you can see I cut them in rings and then I cut it in half, just because it's just a little bit easier once they cook down to become bite-sized. So I have my crock pot here, and I'm just going to put everything into the crock pot. So the onions go in. Now, don't worry, this will all cook down. Then we have our butter, And I'll just kind of place it down inside there a little bit. The salt, the balsamic, and then our brown sugar. I'll just kind of sprinkle that over the top. We are going to stir this every once in a while. It will get all mixed together. Now you have two options. You can cook this on high for 5 hours or low for 10 hours. You want to stir it about every 2 hours though. So if you're going to try to do this when you've left home, just keep that in mind if you're going to try to cook this all day. I'm going to cook this on high for 5 hours. Five hours later, I cannot wait to show you these. You can see they've reduced by half and they're golden brown. Now you can put these on top of a burger. You can put them on a slice of bread like a bruschetta. You can have a flatbread with it. You can put it on your barbecue chicken sandwich. But let me show you my favorite way to use these onions. I've removed all of the onions and we are left with this delicious onion broth. So we are going to make French onion soup. I have a cup of those onions I'm going to put back in, and then 2 cups of beef broth. Then I'm going to take some bakery bread. I'm just going to lay it right on top, let it float right on top. And day-old is better. If you have day-old bread, that works really well in here. And then I'm just going to come in with a little bit of cheese. I have the Italian blend in my fridge, so that's what I'm going to use. I would prefer a Gruyere. That's the best. But we are all about using what we have. So now I'm going to pop the lid on. We're going to let this cheese melt, and then we're going to have a delicious French onion soup. The best way to use these caramelized onions. Did you know you can make your favorite Checkex Party mix in the slow cooker? Here's the recipe. This recipe for our Checkex mix is literally on the back of every flavor of Checkex that you buy. So sometimes it has the microwave instructions, sometimes it has the stovetop instructions, but the recipe will be on every box. The only thing that I did was I halved it because I don't need a giant, bag of Checkex mix. So we just need half, and half is going to be 6 cups of mix-ins. Your mix-ins could be, here I have unsalted peanuts and oyster crackers, but you could also use bagel chips, you could use almonds, you could use cashews, whatever you would like, but we need a total of 6 cups. In addition to our 6 cups of our mix-ins, we're going to need 3 tablespoons of melted butter, a tablespoon of Worcestershire. You know I don't say it right, it's this. No need to correct me, I understand I say it wrong, it's okay. And then for our seasonings, we have 3/4 teaspoon of seasoned salt and then 1/4 teaspoon of garlic and onion powder. I'm just going to mix all of this up together. Now I am doing this one in my 3.5 quart crock pot, not my 2 quart crock pot, just because I want to make sure I have room to stir. There we go. So everything goes in here. Now we'll just take this amazing seasoned butter and we will pour it right over the top. And we'll stir all of this together. Make sure everything is coated. There we go. Once everything is good and coated, we'll just put this down inside our crock. You have two options. You can cook it on low for 4 hours, stirring every 30 minutes, or you can cook it on high for 2 hours, same instructions, stir every 30 minutes. Basically, now that we've covered everything in butter, we just have to dry it out. So that's what we're doing. Once your Chex Mix has finished cooking, you'll just lay it out on a sheet pan until it cools. Super simple. Now that our 2 hours is done, we are just going to give it one last stir. And then pour it out on the sheet pan. Spread it into a layer and let it cool. So easy. How do you feel about boiled peanuts? We love them, and I have the easiest way to prepare them in the slow cooker. Here's how you do it. The recipe for boiled peanuts could not be any easier. You need green peanuts. You can see they're green, not raw peanuts, green peanuts. Peanut season is right up there with peach season for us in Georgia. We love peanut season. We love to see these bags in our grocery store. So you need the green peanuts and you need some salt. Now, in my house, we don't like our peanuts very salty. So for every cup, we use a teaspoon of salt. Now, this is not going to give you a very salty peanut. This can vary depending on your taste and what you like. For us, we would rather go on the side of we taste the peanuts, not necessarily the salt, but there are some people who love salt and will go as much as a tablespoon for every cup. I am gonna make this in my 3.5 quart, the Cuisinart slow cooker. So I have 8 cups of peanuts here. Now just know, it's gonna take a while. You can do a pre-soak and you can soak these for a little bit and it will cut off about 2 hours of your cook time. But as is, straight out of the green peanut bag, it's gonna take 12 hours. So I'm starting these at 7 o'clock at night and we're gonna go through 7 o'clock in the morning. And when I wake up, then they will be yummy, yummy boiled peanuts ready to go. All we have to do is put this into our slow cooker, top it with our salt, and then cover it with water. We're gonna cook this on high because we need it to simmer for 12 hours. After the 12 hours, we're just gonna turn off the heat and let them sit and absorb that salty, yummy water for a few hours. Yes, it will be ready at 7 in the morning, but really they won't be ready to eat until about noon. Just know, it's a long process, but if you like boiled peanuts, this is the way to go, friend. You've gotta try it. Good morning. How about we have some boiled peanuts for breakfast? It's been 12 hours. You can see that they've soaked up a little bit of liquid. We need to taste this water and just make sure that it's salted to our liking. I think that's perfect. Okay, next, now we need to see if the peanuts are actually soft enough. So we'll just break one open. I have this one cooling off to the side. And we'll just taste this one. it could go just a little bit longer. So I think I'm gonna cook it for another hour, maybe 2. It's a process, y'all. It'll be worth it. Now, I'm gonna have some coffee. Here we are, an hour and a half later. Let's taste this one. It's perfect. So just know, between 13 and 14 hours. So now all I have to do is just turn this off, and I'm gonna put the cover back on and then let them sit for a few hours, let them cool down, and they'll soak up that salt water, and they are perfection. Once you let them cool for a few hours, they're ready to eat. I cannot wait for you to try these. I think you're gonna love them. Well, friend, did you know about these 5 things that you could cook in your slow cooker? I hope I showed you maybe a new one or 2. Let me know in the comments if you already knew all 5 of these, and did I forget one? I love to hear from you guys, and you always let me know. Now don't forget, you can do this variation, or I've also done this. So I love hearing that, and everybody else does too. So be sure to leave that comment below. Also below is that subscribe button. I'm here every single week bringing you those quick, easy, delicious, affordable meal ideas, and I hope that you join me. I love showing up in your feed, and I love getting to know you in the comment section, friend. I hope that you have a fabulous week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.